Picture this, a picturesque landscape adorned with houses nestled amidst sprawling woods, where majestic creatures like moose, badgers, foxes, wolves, and lynxes roam freely. It is in this captivating backdrop, a mere 30 minutes outside the vibrant city of Oslo, that our haunting tale takes place. Prepare yourself, dear reader, for an encounter that transcends the boundaries of reason and plunges us into a realm of unrelenting terror. Now, let us venture back in time to the early 2000s, a time when innocence still clung to the hearts of youth. Our protagonist, a teenager with dreams and aspirations, had recently relocated with her family to a remote abode, far removed from the urban landscape of Oslo. Here, amidst the embrace of nature, life seemed idyllic. The surrounding woods held secrets untold, and the occasional sightings of roe deer offered a gentle reminder of the harmonious coexistence between man and beast. In this tranquil setting, our teenage protagonist and her two friends embarked on a camping adventure, a night of laughter and camaraderie that would forever be etched in their memories. The chosen campsite, a mere stone's throw away from her house, boasted a quaint bonfire pit, offering solace and warmth amidst the darkened forest. A tent, weathered by time and neglect, served as their sanctuary for the night, a circular haven that provided an illusion of safety. As darkness fell and the flickering flames danced upon their faces, the trio indulged in whispered secrets and devoured the sweet indulgence of candy. Midnight approached, and fatigue crept into their weary bodies. It was then, amidst the silence of the night, that the eerie symphony began, a symphony that would forever haunt their dreams. Hooves, soft and yet unmistakable, tiptoed alongside their tent, sending shivers racing down their spines. The girls exchanged glances, convinced that their nocturnal visitors were none other than the curious roe deer. But a disconcerting sound accompanied the hoofbeats, a metallic rattle that echoed through the darkness, akin to the clanking armor of knights in a medieval tale. A sudden gust of wind swept through the forest, fierce and relentless, stirring the girls' unease. Desperate to quell their rising fear, they engaged in light-hearted banter, hoping to drown out the inexplicable noises that plagued their senses. The symphony of hooves and metal continued, persisting like an ominous melody. And then, a chilling realization pierced the veil of their fragile courage, one that would forever shatter their perception of reality. Amidst the tempestuous winds, a tempest of a different kind struck their tent with a force unimaginable. A tear, monstrous and jagged, tore through the fabric, exposing them to the black void above. And then, in an instant, a blinding light, vibrant and searing, descended upon them like a bolt of lightning from the heavens. Their screams pierced the night, intermingling with the winds that suddenly ceased to exist. Silence engulfed the forest, swallowing their cries, leaving behind nothing but an echoing void of terror. In a frenzy of panic and bewilderment, the girls fled from the violated sanctuary, their trembling legs carrying them to the refuge of the protagonist's home. Safety, albeit fleeting, awaited within those walls. With dawn's first light, they mustered. It was a gloomy evening, and I found myself looking for a new horror experience. As a storyteller, I've always been fascinated with the unknown and the unexplained. I've watched countless videos on paranormal activities, but I've never experienced anything myself. So I decided to download the Spirit Talker application. I went about my day as usual, with the app running in the background. It started by saying random words, and I thought to myself, this is fake. It's just a stupid app. But I decided to continue playing around with it. When I arrived at the hospital for an appointment, I decided to ask the app for a name and a story. It gave me two, and one of them was a witness to a car crash. It didn't seem like a big deal, but then the app mentioned patients, a knife, and injection. I was there for an injection, and I started to feel a sense of unease. After my appointment, I told the app it had no permission to follow me home and left the hospital. As I was walking out, a spirit said, "Please leave here." It was creepy, but I thought it was just a coincidence. On my way home, the app was silent, and I thought it had finally stopped working. But when I arrived home, it said, "I'm home and ashes." I remembered my boyfriend had his brother's ashes on the table. His brother had committed suicide, and it was a sensitive topic for my boyfriend. As I walked past the table, the app blurted, "Don't move, recognize, and relative." I sat down and asked, "Where are you?" It said, "The hall." I felt a wave of sadness, and the app said, "Eric," and then I'm dead crying. I burst into tears and felt a heavy heart. I knew it was my boyfriend's brother, Eric. I've never mentioned him before, and neither has my boyfriend. I had proof of everything, but I didn't want to upset anyone. I couldn't believe what had just happened. It was the most terrifying experience of my life. I had always been a skeptic, but now I knew that there were things beyond our understanding. I don't think I'll ever use the Spirit Talker app again. It's too dangerous. I just hope that Eric is at peace now, and that he knows he's not alone. I am here to tell you a chilling story about my experience with the paranormal. You see, I've had a lot of these experiences over the years, and I have always told others about them, but I have never actually written them down before. So, here goes. It's long, so bear with me. When I was 11 years old, I went to Lake Tahoe over the summer with my best friend Emma and her family. We stayed at a cabin for about a week or so. Emma and I got bored easily, as there was no internet or TV. We were rummaging through the cabin's closet for a board game, and that's when we found a Ouija board. Being 11-year-old girls, we opened that box faster than you can say they're here. My mom and my grandma both used a Ouija board and tarot cards. So coupled with the many ghost experiences I had growing up made my brain see an old, dusty Ouija board and think, "Sweet, let's use it." Emma and I made contact with 3 spirits who were all children. The first was a girl who was around 10 years old, I believe, and without giving too much away, she had been a minor child star who had died in an accident. She gave us details that we learned only later when we looked her up. I remember really liking her and thinking we would have been friends if she was still alive, and that weighed so heavily on me, the survivor's guilt, when I hadn't even been in the accident myself. But I remember feeling it, yet the vibe from her was so loving and pure, like a regular kid, but also a literal angel. I'll call her Jane. Emma and I then contacted 2 other kids. I don't remember their names, but the boy was older, maybe around 12 or 13, and had died in the 1970s or early 80s from what we could guess. There was also a young girl, I think about 8, who was from the 1870s. I remember thinking she was like Little House on the Prairie. The boy was sort of looking after the girl, I think because he was older, and I never figured out how they got paired up, but Jane wasn't paired with them, too. They all 3 interacted with each other comfortably though. Anyway, I had a camera, and we told them to sit on the couch. We assumed they had, and I snapped a photo. Now, here's where things get creepy. I took a photo, and in it you can clearly see 2 of them. The boy dressed in a t-shirt with a beach type of logo design and shorts that were definitely from around 1980, give or take a year or 2. The girl sitting next to him was wearing a long-sleeved dress that hit at her ankles and a bonnet. She was leaning into him like a big brother, and he always seemed like he took his job of being her protector very seriously. We never connected with either of them apart, but we did connect with them and not Jane, and vice versa, meaning these 2 were never apart. I showed the photo to my mom and she took it for safekeeping. I never found it. My hope is that I somehow saved the negatives of the film so I can have them printed again. In the year 1923, a grand estate stood tall amidst the rolling hills of a small town. It was a mansion that held secrets, whispered tales of the supernatural, and the haunting echoes of a tragedy long forgotten. The townsfolk spoke in hushed tones of the dark history that clung to the house, warning each other to stay away from its ominous presence. As a storyteller specializing in horror narratives, I was irresistibly drawn to the allure of this foreboding mansion. In 2019, armed with a notebook and a keen sense of curiosity, I ventured into the depths of this dwelling to uncover its chilling secrets. The first floor was as grand as one would expect, adorned with antique furniture and portraits of somber-faced individuals from a bygone era. However, it was the basement that beckoned me, its descent into darkness like a gateway to a realm beyond our own. With each step, I felt the temperature drop, and an eerie silence settled around me. Cobwebs clung to the corners, as if nature itself feared to intrude upon this unhallowed space. It was in this dimly lit cellar that I encountered the ghostly presence that would forever change my life. The air grew thick, and a whisper grazed the edge of my consciousness. "Who are you?" it murmured, causing a shiver to course through my veins. Turning swiftly, I found myself face to face with a spectral figure, a woman named Vanessa. Her pale visage, adorned in a red dress and a white hat with a single rose, bore the unmistakable wounds of a violent end. Vanessa's ethereal form hovered before me, her voice filled with a haunting sadness as she shared her story. Born in 1895, she had once been the mistress of this estate. Her ill-fated marriage to a man named Mr. Henderson brought only anguish and despair. The abusive relationship culminated in a horrific act of violence on her 21st birthday, no less, where Vanessa met her untimely demise. Stabbed repeatedly in the most vital areas of her body. The details of Vanessa's fate remain murky, yet theories swirled in the depths of my imagination. Perhaps her body had been disposed of in the boiler, hidden within the confines of the house, or concealed beneath the cold concrete floor of the basement. The truth eluded me, but the weight of her tragedy hung heavy in the air. Since that encounter, Vanessa's spirit lingered, forever tethered to the mansion that was once her prison. She visited me in fleeting moments, drawn to my presence, seeking solace and companionship. The nights were when she appeared most vividly, her ethereal form dancing near my closet or peering through the darkened panes of my windows. During these nocturnal visits, she would hum haunting melodies, her ghostly rendition of songs from a bygone era. It was her way of filling the silence, her attempt to bridge the gap between the world of the living and the realm of the departed. Vanessa explained that her humming stemmed from a belief that I did not sleep enough, a plea for me to find respite in the embrace of slumber. Despite her spectral existence, Vanessa remained a guardian of sorts, shielding me from the malevolent spirits that roamed the mansion's halls. She protected me from their ethereal wrath, ensuring my safety as I delved deeper into the mysteries of the estate. It was a bittersweet bond we shared, for she often mistook me for her long-lost son, Charles. The pain in her eyes was palpable, a constant reminder of the anguish that consumed her even in death. In the darkness of that basement, my encounters with Vanessa continued, each visit revealing a new layer of her tragic tale. One evening, as I sat cross-legged on the cold basement floor, Vanessa approached me with a sense of urgency in her translucent eyes. She spoke in a voice laden with sorrow, recounting the story of Charles, her beloved son, whose life was tragically cut short. Charles, a bright and curious child, had met a gruesome fate at the hands of his own father, Mr. Henderson. Overwhelmed by rage and consumed by his own dark desires, Mr. Henderson had ended the young boy's life, forever shattering Vanessa's heart. It was a crime that stained the very foundation of the house, leaving an indelible mark on its haunted halls. Vanessa yearned for closure, a chance to reunite with her beloved son in the afterlife. She confided in me, sharing her deep-rooted belief that Charles' spirit was trapped within the confines of the mansion, unable to find peace. Together, we embarked on a mission to set Charles' spirit free, to release him from the tormented existence that bound him to this realm. Through my research and countless hours of exploration, I uncovered the long-forgotten details of Charles' tragic demise. Armed with this knowledge, Vanessa and I conducted a series of seances and rituals, invoking the powers of the supernatural to bridge the gap between the worlds of the living and the dead. In the darkest corner of the basement, where Vanessa had met her untimely end, we gathered in a circle, candles flickering in the dim light. With every incantation, the energy in the room shifted, and a spectral presence made itself known. It was Charles, his young spirit emerging from the shadows, his essence intertwining with the ethereal threads that held the house captive. As mother and son were reunited in this supernatural embrace, an otherworldly glow enveloped them both. I could feel the weight of their sorrow lifting, replaced by a profound sense of peace and resolution. Charles' spirit, now liberated from the torments of his past, ascended towards the heavens, guided by Vanessa's love. With Charles' departure, the mansion itself seemed to sigh in relief. The air cleared, the creaking floorboards silenced, and an aura of tranquility settled upon the once haunted dwelling. Vanessa, her purpose fulfilled, faded gradually from my sight, her presence forever imprinted in the fabric of the house. As I reflect upon my encounters with Vanessa and the tragic tale of her family, I can't help but marvel at the resilience of the human spirit. The horrors of the past, the injustices inflicted upon innocent lives, have a way of lingering, seeking resolution and redemption. It is through our understanding, compassion, and unwavering determination that we can offer solace to those trapped in the limbo between life and death. The mansion still stands today, its haunted reputation slowly dissipating with the passage of time. Yet, the echoes of Vanessa's story, her undying love for her son, continue to resonate within the walls. It serves as a reminder that even in the realm of horror and the supernatural, there can be a glimmer of hope, a chance for healing amidst the darkness. And so, I share this tale, a testament to the enduring power of love and the eternal bonds that connect us all, both in life and beyond. In the year 2007, it was a time when my sister and her fiancé had just welcomed their newborn son into the world. Eager to take their first evening out since the baby's arrival, they requested my assistance in babysitting their precious bundle of joy. Naturally, I agreed without hesitation, ready to fulfill my amply duties. As the evening approached, my sister went over some last-minute instructions, mentioning that she had a load of baby clothes in the dryer. She asked if I could find the time to retrieve the clothes and fold them while they were away. With their departure, I was left alone with my nephew, an adorable cherub who slumbered peacefully in his crib. I proceeded to the laundry room as the dryer's signal alerted me to its completion. Taking out the freshly laundered clothes, I diligently folded each garment and placed them in a basket atop the changing table. Satisfied with my task, I returned to the living room, gently transferring my slumbering nephew to his bassinet. The evening progressed uneventfully as I watched television, relishing the rare moments of tranquility. However, the peace was abruptly shattered by a loud bang emanating from the nursery, the very room where we had spent our earlier moments. Intrigued yet cautious, I approached the nursery, cautiously opening the door. To my astonishment, the laundry basket I had left on the changing table had been violently hurled across the room. Now resting upside down on the floor, the neatly folded clothes, once arranged with care, lay scattered and disheveled. Perplexed and unsettled, I swiftly collected the basket and its contents, returning to the living room to rectify the chaotic scene. Uncertain of what had occurred, I chose to keep the incident to myself, not wishing to cast a shadow on my sister and brother-in-law's much-needed evening of respite. Months passed, and another babysitting request emerged from my sister. This time, my mother decided to accompany them on their excursion to a casino. My nephew, roused from his slumber, required nourishment upon their departure. Carrying him to the kitchen, I settled him into a chair while I prepared his bottle. Unexpectedly, my mother's voice pierced the silence, filled with anger and urgency, calling out my full name. "Angelina, come here now." Slightly annoyed, I responded, explaining that I was in the middle of preparing the baby's bottle. Yet, the urgent calls persisted, seemingly originating from the master bedroom. Frustrated and bewildered, I shouted back, inquiring about the commotion. However, as I made my way to the master bedroom, a chilling realization washed over me. The room was empty. My mother was nowhere to be found. Confusion consumed me as I searched every nook and cranny of the house, only to discover emptiness and silence. The driveway remained devoid of any vehicles besides my own. The weight of unease settled deep within me. Moments later, as I attempted to contact my mother, the doorbell rang, jolting my heart into a frenzy. Rushing to the door, I almost flung it open, expecting to find my mother there, playing a prank. But when I cautiously peered through the peephole, there was no one in sight. Dread washed over me like an icy wave. No one stood outside, and the empty street stretched before me, devoid of any presence. I chose to keep these unsettling incidents to myself until the day my sister moved out of that rental home. Assisting her with the move, I noticed that my nephew's crib had been relocated to the master bedroom. Curiosity prompted me to question why the crib had been moved. To my surprise, my sister shared a disturbing encounter that had unfolded around Halloween, a night that forever marked their stay in that house. It began when she decided to illuminate the nursery with a black light, a simple act meant to add a touch of eerie ambience. However, as soon as the ultraviolet glow permeated the room, a chilling sight greeted her eyes, a concentrated stain resembling a dark, ominous splotch dominated the center of the room. But that was not all. Handprints, as if made by an invisible force, trailed up the walls, leaving an indelible mark of unseen presence. Feeling an overwhelming sense of discomfort and dread, my sister hastily relocated the crypt to the safety of her own bedroom that very night. It was a decision fueled by the inexplicable phenomena occurring within the confines of that rental home. As she confided in me, I finally mustered the courage to share my own encounters, beginning with the incident during my initial babysitting session. It became evident that strange occurrences were not isolated events but rather a recurrent theme haunting that house. Flickering lights, phantom doorbell rings with no one at the door, and the unsettling mimicry of my mother's voice had all contributed to a chilling tapestry of paranormal activity. My sister disclosed that the landlord had resorted to desperate measures to retain tenants, even offering reduced rent in exchange for a year-long lease. Yet, the constant disturbance and unexplainable events had prompted her to refuse the tempting offer, ultimately leading to their decision to relocate. Regret washed over us as we realized that we had never delved deeper into the mysteries of that enigmatic abode. Our curiosity lingered, forever unsatisfied, as the house remained a vessel of unanswered questions and restless spirits. To this day, the memory of that unsettling period weighs heavily on our hearts. It serves as a stark reminder that there are forces lurking in the shadows, beyond our comprehension, ready to shatter the veil of normalcy and plunge us into a realm of unexplained terror.